the Broncos bring in Cam Fleming, I think first announced by James Palmer, if I'm not mistaken, talking about the Broncos bringing in the former, I guess, third year now, offensive tackle Cam Fleming, third year on the team. The Broncos have signed him to 3 consecutive one-year deals, and he comes in for a contract that could be worth up to $4 million. And I got to say, I really enjoyed, after the deal was announced, reading the quote tweets and the replies to that. Miami Dolphins were beside themselves. The fans were really upset about that because obviously we're looking at the Cam Fleming advanced stats, probably found people like you and I talking about him being like, this guy was actually pretty good last season.
Yeah.
And they're going into the year with Austin Jackson, who's been horrible for them, and Isaiah Wynn, 2 potential first-round busts at tackle. So now the Broncos bring in Fleming, who immediately solidifies the Broncos tackle position on the second level. And he might even be the team's number 1 guard depth as well. Like coming in, I mean, Luke Wattenberg, Kyle Fuller. I mean, I might take a Cam Fleming at guard before those 2.
Right. I had somebody actually message me right after the deal was done saying, hey, do you think he can play guard too? I said, well, I mean, he'd be worth a chance to see what he can do just because he is actually a pretty talented player. He's got the size. He can handle it. But most importantly, this really does solidify the offensive tackle position for the Broncos. You got 3 very solid players. I'm not saying that they're great, but you at least have 3 solid guys that you can trust to be on the field and do pretty well for you. They're not going to be negative players like the Broncos have seen the past quite a few years here. Throw in, you got Garrett Bowles, who has injury history. You got McGlinchey on the other side, who has injury history. So you needed somebody solid behind them that you could trust to come in and hold down the fort and not completely bleep themselves, you know. Said he brings that to you. That's why I put on Twitter, I think you were talking about my Twitter comment, that it's one of my favorite moves the Broncos have made this offseason. I really do love Cameron Fleming. I thought last year he was very solid for the Broncos. One of the few guys that looked very competent on the offensive line and like game in, game out was providing what you needed from him.